Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. Do me a favor and please subscribe if you haven't already. Today we're going to do another episode of Classic Concerts, the series where we reminisce about a variety of unforgettable concerts that have stood the test of time. If there's someone specific you guys want me to talk about in a future episode of this series, please leave a comment down below. I'll check your feedback. Today's edition will be about Alice in Chains' renowned MTV Unplugged performance. I knew after I discussed Nirvana Unplugged it would only be a matter of time before I put this one on my plate. I actually think Alice in Chains' version is slightly superior to what Nirvana demonstrated 3 years earlier. Now, to be honest, I haven't watched every single MTV Unplugged episode, but of the ones I've seen, Alice in Chains comes out on top. Sticking to the established routine, I'm going to divulge some general information related to this particular performance, followed by a few likes and dislikes. Alice in Chains Unplugged was recorded on April 10th, 1996, at the Brooklyn Academy of Music's Majestic Theater. If I had to guess, the crowd probably felt a mixture of anticipation and uncertainty. The reason being that Alice in Chains went on a 2.5-year touring hiatus before agreeing to give this concert a shot. Nobody was really sure how stable they were or what the interaction between them would be like. Of course, after Jar of Flies emerged, lead singer Lane Staley decided to jump ship to a short-lived stint with the supergroup Mad Season. Then, despite the friction, he wriggled his way back to Alice in Chains to assemble their killer self-titled album in 1995. Unfortunately, fans would later learn that this band was teetering on the edge, inching closer to total annihilation. Merely months after doing Unplugged, they basically pulled the plug. Lane wandered deeper into addiction, cutting off nearly all contact. Meanwhile, Jerry Cantrell tried to get a solo career going. Each member kind of went their own separate way. It turned out that the exceptional Unplugged show would be one of the final highlights from a cataclysmic-centered music group featuring the OG lineup before they all but dissolved. Unplugged was made possible by Lane Staley on vocals and Angry Chair's rhythm guitar. Jerry Cantrell handled lead guitar and vocals. Mike Inez covered bass and rhythm guitar on the Killer Is Me track. Sean Kinney walloped away on drums and percussion. Finally, Scott Olson jumped into acoustic bass, rhythm guitar, and bass duties for Killer Is Me at the very end. Toby Wright produced this awesome event. Technically, 13 songs made the cut. However, 3 of them, Angry Chair, Frogs, and Killer Is Me, were excluded, but eventually MTV inserted them back into the re-release version. That was a wise decision. 4 songs were dug up from dirt, 2 from Sap, 2 from Jar of Flies, and 4 from their self-titled album. Killer Is Me was there because why not? It more or less offers a snapshot of what they had done up to this point. Alice in Chains in a nutshell, if you will. Please don't hate me. How about the biggest winner and loser of the night? I'd say a charming dose of Got Me Wrong counts as the peak tune. On the other hand, Killer Is Me seemed like the weakest track. It was okay, but I don't think it holds a candle to the rest of the competitors. Anyway, MTV Unplugged was also packaged as a CD and DVD, roughly an hour and 10 minutes long. You can purchase the DVD on Amazon for $10, which is an absolute steal in my opinion. Worth every penny for sure. Nevertheless, YouTube saves the day again because it contains a playlist of the entire concert at no cost whatsoever. It's up to you though. YouTube might seem like a better option to some of you. Others would rather climb on the DVD train. It's a personal preference, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just pick whatever option sounds best to you. Either way, I'll put a link to both options in the description. Alright, let's move on to my likes and dislikes concerning Alice in Chains Unplugged. My first like, and this has nothing to do with the music, would be Lane's pink hair. I think it looks great. Apparently MTV didn't, because throughout the show they filled with the lights to hide his real hair color. Look, I don't see what the big deal is. I highly doubt any fan who was there or even anyone watching years later was like, oh my god, what happened to Lane's hair? It looks so bad, I can't watch this anymore. Who cares? It's just hair. It's not that serious. Wayne's hair wasn't a reason why people bought tickets. They bought tickets to hear killer music, and that's exactly what they got. I don't know if someone who worked for MTV had a traumatic experience with something pink when they were a kid. Maybe they tripped and fell into a running cotton candy machine. Maybe they got attacked by a flamingo or choked on a piece of gum. Whatever. The point is, the average person probably won't even notice Lane's hair color. Even if they do, it doesn't change the quality of the music at all. So MTV, you should be ashamed of yourselves for acting so petty. If I had a ham right now, I'd throw it at you. My next like is the teamwork between Lane and Jerry. I know I say this in every Alice video, and this one is no exception, but it's worth mentioning again. Those two just balance each other out so well. Lane brings power, Jerry provides smoothness. It's like they communicated through eye contact alone. They were in perfect sync. This Unplugged probably wouldn't have been as treasured by fans without such a lovely collaboration. Next, I give a thumbs up to the humor present. Like when Lane screws up on Sludge Factory and asks, "What's my motivation here?" The famous guitar inscribed with, "Friends don't let friends get friends haircuts," which would be a great tombstone engraving, by the way. And at the end, when Lane quips to the crowd, "I wish I could just hug you all, but I'm not gonna." Those funny moments had something special to it. They kind of recommit you to staying glued to the show. I was thinking, man, I'm so glad I decided to watch this. I also heavily admired the commitment Alice in Chains showed. Wayne Staley was plagued by heroin dependency, and Jerry Cantrell had food poisoning, but they decided to play anyway. It would have been understandable if they backed out, yet they powered through. If that doesn't represent dedication, what does? Another positive part of Alice in Chains Unplugged were the regular close-up camera angles that took you straight into the action. Almost every facial expression got captured during the recording. It gave the show some extra depth. Personally, you understood what impact the various tunes had on you, and thanks to the close-up camera angles, you were able to share those emotions with Alice in Chains, which is super cool. Next, like the appropriate lack of lighting. Besides some flickering candles, also stood out to me. Everyone knows Alice in Chains writes dark lyrics. It's basically their trademark. This factor is one of their key selling points. As a result, the shadowy environment seemed to bring those lyrics to life in new ways the albums could not. My final like is, similar to the 3 Days Grace video we discussed last time, is the performance Alice in Chains put on arguably exceeded their studio counterparts. It's amazing how well they adapted to the acoustic perimeter. They just aced it. Switching just briefly to dislikes, my sole complaint is that they didn't play any songs off Facelift, Michael Jackson's favorite album. Facelift would be at the bottom of the 3 studio albums Alice released with Lane Staley for me. Regardless, it does have a lot of top-notch Alice in Chains tracks that I enjoy. We Die Young, Sea of Sorrow, Bleed the Freak, Love, Hate, Love, Real Thing, etc. Perhaps they were too heavy to water down on Unplugged. It's too bad they couldn't include a couple Facelift treats. Then I would have felt completely satisfied. Besides that minor quibble that bugs me, I'm hooked on Alice in Chains Unplugged. Truly a one-of-a-kind experience. If a skeptic asks you why you like Alice in Chains, pull up this concert. It never gets old. It holds up ridiculously well. Please check it out. Please let me know in the comments what your favorite song from Alice in Chains MTV Unplugged is. That does it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Until then, rock on.